So, hello, welcome to another Hearthside chat. This is Jacqueline again, and I'm here today with Emma Davey. And before I get into telling you something about Emma, let's just take a moment to bring some gratitude into this circle. So, for myself, as you can tell, I'm calling you from my car. I'm actually on a campsite in the Peak District, which is somewhere I've never visited before. So, my gratitude is about being here in the Peak District with all these lovely dry stone walls everywhere and the lush rolling landscapes. And I'm excited to be going out exploring it tomorrow. So, that's my gratitude, is to be here. So, how about you, Emma?
You. Yeah, my gratitude is for the beauty of the beaches at the North Norfolk coast, which I've just spent the last 2 days with, the sand between my toes and the water up to my knees, and yeah, embracing the waves and the power of the ocean, and just spending time. Grateful for time with friends as well during the weekend. Yeah, thank
Mm.
you.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, gosh, there's something so
Mm,
special about the ocean.
mm,
I've lived next to the ocean a couple of times in my life, and it's just that ever changing.
yeah.
Feels like it reflects your emotions. It does for me anyway. It's
Mm.
raging, or it's peaceful, or it's something in between. Yeah, yeah, I can really relate to that. So
Mm.
yeah, so Emma is here. Thank you for saying yes to being on our Hearthside chat. Emma will be holding the south direction at the Hearth at this year's camp, and I believe you're also involved to some extent with or maybe to a larger degree, with the pre-camp work as well. Yeah, the organising side of it, you might say, and you're holding the south role there as well. So I really don't know much about you, Emma. I feel this is like the very first time. I'm sure we saw each other at last year's camp, but it feels like the first time we've really connected in depth. So would you like to say a little bit about yourself and what brought you to this work, to this Eight Shields Nature Connection camp?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Um, so yeah, I guess I've always had a love for learning, and um I sort of trained as a primary teacher. It's kind of where my part of my journey started. Um, And then from there, I ended up kind of falling into the outdoors, but discovered I really loved teaching outside the four walls of the classroom, like the freedom and the space and the vibrancy the outdoors brings us. So I sort of ended up working in the outdoor industry and got involved in forest school. So I'm a forest school practitioner and support various people who offer forest school training as well. And yeah, my very good friend Louise had heard of the art of mentoring and had spoken a lot about nature connection and John Young's work. And, so yeah, so we sort of, there was four of us that from here in Norwich in Norfolk travelled all the way up to Scotland. A rather long journey, but I know not as long as others. And yeah, came across a beautifully inspiring village and was really the foundation and the starting point of my journey around the Eight Shields. And yeah, that,
So that was the camp at Falkland, wasn't it? Was it the
yes,
second one they had at Falkland, I think? Yeah.
yeah, 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 in 2019. So,
Mm.
um,
So what was it
yeah.
about the camp, would you say, that really kind of struck you? Was there one standout thing or moment
Mm.
that made you just go, oh, yes?
Uh, for me, the singing and the time round the fire, the hearth, the moments of community and village, and the gathering of in the evenings, when the whole village comes together to share the stories of the day. And I particularly love singing myself, and I feel there's something incredibly powerful singing as a large group of people.
Mm,
And yeah, those moments were really magical for me.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that. I was just listening to an interview today actually with an Aboriginal elder. I have Australian nationality as well as British, and so I have a quite strong connection with the Aboriginal people who
Mm,
I've been lucky to spend some time with. And this particular elder was talking about, how the Aborigines would tell their stories that way. It's all about
mm,
storytelling, but singing the stories in
yeah.
particular. And there's something about singing, and in the singing of it, that the land recognizes it as well as the people learning it. So, yeah, there's something
Mm,
really kind of fundamental about singing, isn't it? Something very
mm,
raw and deep. I think that happens when we sing together.
mm,
Mm. Yeah, beautiful. And
yeah.
so, yeah, so your role is south of the hearth. So that sounds very kind of, wonderful and mysterious. And do you want to say a little bit about what the south of the hearth is and what your role is?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so uh I am new to you know, coming forward to the Hearth South in this camp. I was a participant at the connection camp last year, and I've yeah, had an incredible time with Peter and Sky on the Bringing It Home and the Fire Tenders sort of year-long programs they were running that has helped me deepen into the Eight Shields, and that sort of came to an end last year, and I felt this sense of I could actually offer something towards the connection camp.
Mm,
And I say sort of the qualities of the South are some of my gifts. I like organising, and I quite like a spreadsheet, and I, quite often am holding time in various ways, and um, yeah, so it kind of I offered and applied, and yeah, kind of was very honoured to be asked to sort of hold the Hearth South role. So I'm kind of like nervously excited, but I also know, having experienced the connection camp last year, that, whilst I've got a role to play for the whole for the whole to come together as such,
mm,
that I'll also be supported, um, you know, by the other staff as well as the village and all the participants. And
mm,
yeah, so that's what really excites me, is, that I can bring my gifts, and yeah, my sort of still feel in my comfort zone,
mm,
even though it's a new role for me.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, I'm still kind of slightly getting my head around all the different directions and exactly what all of them are. But what I do know about
Yeah.
North and South, and we had David Smart Knight, on one of these calls a few weeks back, and David's holding the North, and I know the North is that kind of bigger picture overview. I often think of the eagle sort of hovering over,
Mm.
keeping an eye on, what's happening, the bigger picture. And then the South on the other side of the axis is like that detail, paying attention to the details, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
the little.
Yeah. So part of that role as well is I'm supporting with the bookings.
Mhm.
So anybody who's sort of emailed with an inquiry, or I guess if you're watching this video and you want to get in touch and ask a question that you're not sure about, then the connection camp email comes to myself, and yeah, hopefully I can answer your questions or find out the answer and support in some way for the process of the booking. And also, yeah, kind of sorting out the bookings and, collecting deposits, and soon I'll be chasing the next bits of the booking process. So
Mm,
yeah, so I guess anybody, this is the face of the person that you're emailing, if that's nice to know. And I think, what I also remember from the art of mentoring in 2019 was sort of the really good welcome,
mm,
and the same for the connection camp last year, that really. So yeah, I also know that whilst I'm sorting the South details of bookings, that I also try to embody the sort of East really good welcome, and hope that I, answer the email in a really friendly way. I mean, there's no other way, obviously, but
mm,
yeah, and yeah, to help
mm,
support people answer their questions and
mm,
get the information that they need to know, which is
mm,
important when you're trying to organize so many things in life. So yeah,
mm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think, gosh, there's so much richness in what you're saying. There's so many threads there that I want to kind of, pull on. And one of them, I suppose, is, just that sense of there's a lot of people working behind the scenes here to make this
Mm,
happen. And I remember the first camp that I went to, which I think was 2011 or 2012. I lose track of the years now. It's a bit scary. Um, but I do remember thinking, who's in charge here? It wasn't not because it wasn't organized, the opposite. It was
yeah.
really well organized. It was all running very smoothly, and yet nobody seemed obviously to be the person who was, conducting, directing traffic, whatever you might call it. And that's what I love about this model as well. It's that everybody has their piece that they hold, and all those pieces interweave in the web, and then there are others behind them as well. And somehow it all just seems to happen incredibly gracefully, very quietly, and on the surface, it's just this beautiful event that emerges from all of that. Mm,
Mm,
mm. Yeah,
mm,
lovely. Yeah, and the other thing you were saying there also was about you the welcome, the East. So
mm,
sometimes I think with our roles or anywhere in our life, the whole wheel can come in,
mm.
can't it, and inform our life. Have you experienced using eight shields in your life in other ways?
Yeah. I I aspire to use it in multiple ways, but so I run an outdoor business, and I try and base my business model on the eight shields, like covering directions, themes of work, as well as like the programs I design from several hour events through to day events through to perhaps like long-term programs. So um yeah, so I really do try to connect the elements of the eight shields, in the work that I do, and also my daily life, kind of recognizing the time of day that sometimes, we're so busy in the doing, and then
Mm,
realize, I can actually feel tired now because it's the evening and it's the settling down story time, kind of, and yeah, trying to listen to my body in the day cycle as well as the time of year, kind
mm,
of we're now coming towards the south time, the midsummer and the height of activity, and things are definitely feeling busy in my life, and lots of projects and lots of plans coming together, so yeah, and I'm incredibly grateful that I have several friends here in Norfolk who have experienced the connection camp, and that allows us to deepen because we've all got a sort of a baseline of knowledge and understanding.
mm,
So that allows for kind of, yeah, fruitful conversations and planning, and I think for me, like, experience really helps explain the eight shields model.
mm,
So, for two new friends who came to connection camp last year, it's easier to explain the process because they felt it,
mm.
and they felt it and experienced it,
Yeah.
and sometimes just explaining it on paper is sort of there, but
Mm,
there's nothing that speaks it better than doing it, being there, experiencing it, living it.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and yeah, I think the way it weaves into our life, what you're also saying there about having friends who've experienced it too,
mm,
I mean, that must be very supportive for you
mm.
just in your day-to-day life then that you've got people who are part of this community who understand this way of working. Um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, no, sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, looking forward to this year's camp, what would you say that you're looking forward to most?
Um, oh gosh, so many things. I think the opportunity to connect with people that I met at camp last year, the opportunity to yeah, continue conversations, but also meeting new people. Um, and sort of the site at Clop Hill is a beautiful, um, space and place. And, I remember feeling like in the middle of nowhere, even though, we were actually sort of quite close
Mm,
to other, the local village and things.
mm,
But, there was also plenty of space to go and wander for solo time, or to be with a small group, or to be at the hearth. And
yeah.
because we all have different needs in different moments, and knowing that there was the space, the place and the space to sort of, meet what my needs were in that time.
Mm,
um yeah, and the food was incredible as well. Really
mm,
nourishing, scrummy food that, yeah, really kind of met my needs as well, to be fed, and also for the, to give back. We, as a participant, took a part in sort of helping with the washing up at times. And
mhm,
I think, like, as well as being a participant, to be able to give back to the village, and that we all have a role to play in some way. It was great to feel a part of it. It helped me to feel a part of it in every way.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that piece about washing up, and I think there was some cooking prep as well, wasn't there? Like a bit of
Yes,
chopping
yeah,
or preparing for meals as
yeah.
well. And yeah, that piece, because it weaves it that weaves the whole camp together. Then there's
Mm.
no separation between, oh, participants, or I don't know, people are holding gills, or people are holding the hearth, or whatever it is. It's all very level and equal, and we're a community
Yeah,
making it happen. We're
absolutely.
all helping to make the meal. We're all helping to clean up afterwards. We're all making sure everybody, passing on the wolf howls, which is our way
Mm,
of, calling people and letting them know, right, the next thing's about to start, and then everybody, relays that wolf howl. So everybody's
mm,
playing a role in making the camp work. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's pretty special, isn't it? That
mm,
weaving together. Mm,
absolutely.
yeah.
Mm.
And you were a participant last year. So which guild did you take part in last year?
So I was part of the Deep Nature Connection Guild with Kevin, who's
Ah,
doing the Ancient Scout Guild this year.
he
So
is. Yeah. What did
yeah,
you get up to in your Deep Nature
yeah.
Connection Guild?
Oh gosh, all sorts. um, yeah. Oh, the best bit was, there's sort of like a massive meadow out of the back of the sort of Clop Hill Centre. And I guess the opportunity, embodying animal forms, and kind of like moving through the grass, um, and trying to sort of sneak up on other people, being, kind of like, how far can we get without being noticed? And um, I the sort of playfulness is something I sometimes struggle with. That's, like a part of the southeast direction that I meet with some hesitation. But it was really powerful, I guess, to meet that edge,
Mm,
and be a part of that play. And
mm,
um yeah, oh, and lots of juicy conversations, and getting to know, like, the group within our guild as well was really,
mm.
really special. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's right. Because we all had all these little kind of mini communities within the bigger community, didn't we? We had
Yeah, yeah,
the different guild groups, and then we had the elders circle as well. That was another place of
yeah.
connection, and yeah, over meals generally was another place to
Mm.
connect. I think Kevin brought his sauna along as well, so that was
Mm.
another place to connect. Um, yeah, I remember for myself, you talk about that childlike play and the Wednesday, that sort of wandering day. I remember the first time I experienced that as a participant, and just going out there, and like no sense of the time. You leave
Mm.
your watch behind, leave everything behind, just go out there with your packed lunch. And we were just like, we were literally like kids, we were like rolling around in the mud and climbing trees, and we were down on our bellies pretending to be mice, wriggling through the grasses. And it reminded me of that. There was a series called Five Go Mad in Dorset, which was adults pretending to be, school children sort of thing. And I felt like we were like that. But it was so lovely. It was like connecting with that, really embodying
Yeah.
that inner child
Yeah.
in a really playful way and a fun way, and also a learning way as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So of course, we have that Wednesday Wandering Day
Yes.
coming up this year as well. It's a
Yeah.
really key part of the camp, I think, being able to do that,
Mm,
exploring
yeah.
together, exploring with your group.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
So did you guys have any particular sort of special adventures when you were out and about with your group, or any discoveries, any aha moments for you that came?
Yeah. It's almost tricky to pick which to share. But I think um the wandering day as a guild, kind of, setting off as a group, and I guess sort of navigating how to aimlessly wander but as a group.
Mm,
And sort of meeting everybody's needs. But then the opportunity to perhaps see things I might not have noticed because somebody else was sharing what they'd spotted, or, kind of their curiosity,
mm,
so um yeah. And then, like, at the end we sort of split off into solo time, and, just to
yeah.
go and explore the places that, yeah, were calling to me. And found a really cozy bed of, like, thick green lush moss that just looked really inviting to kind of have a little snuggle on. And, imagining I was like a little fairy. I was just quite a big fairy. And, like, yeah, kind of just ended up sort of hibernating at the bottom of this tree and making a little pillow out of the moss, and really kind of just nourishing my time in the moment.
Mm,
Was, yeah,
mm.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think what you said there, in the moment, that's so key to it. It's that it really is being in the moment. I remember our group, because I went out with my guild, even though I was sort of the guild lead. I went out with them for the first, I don't know, hour, I think, or maybe a couple of hours, and then I left them to it. And we came across some foxes, some of the young kids, who were when we came across one fox who was wandering on his own. So we, thought, well, that's probably not quite right that the fox is on his own. So we took him back to his group, and they were trying to get a fire going, and he'd gone off to look for someone who had tinder. Well, as luck would have it, someone in our group had tinder and had a spark, so we went there and helped them light their fire. And then someone else had found a little nest with a robin's egg in it. And so yeah, it's just that's kind of spontaneity of meeting the foxes, and then we waved them goodbye, and then we went off on our adventure. And yeah, just so many things. I think so many things can happen when we just really open ourselves up to being in the present moment with no agenda and no expectations. Yeah, yeah, pretty special. Um, so I don't know if there's anything in particular else you wanted to say about your experience, or about why you think people should come along to the camp. What would you say if you wanted to invite someone along to this camp? Why should they come? Oh, oh, you're muted. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Did I do something? No, hang on. Let me try this. Right, does that help?
There we go.
Yes.
Sorry,
There we
I muted myself to cough, and then couldn't unmute myself, but
go.
we're all good.
Unmute. Here we are.
Yeah, I think just to be able to take the time for yourself to to experience, and the Eight Shields might be familiar work to meet people, but it might also be new. But I think there's always like new experiences and learnings that can come from opportunities. So yeah, to kind of like, if you're on the edge and not quite sure, to kind of step into that. And I guess, yeah, something that's just come up inside me to share is, I had some beautiful conversations with an elder called Linda who was at the connection camp last year. And we've actually carried on our conversations over the last year, so we've sort of kept a connection. And I was in a privileged, beautiful position that I could, support her as an elder on the camp, and walked her back to a little camper van as a place to sleep, and just tending to her needs of the evening and making sure she had a blanket. And yeah, I guess it was, it's an opportunity to look after yourself and look after others, and yeah, have conversations with peers, with elders, with the children, like all ages and all experiences, and everybody's got something unique and wonderful to bring that makes the camp a whole.
Mm,
And as you've mentioned, not knowing necessarily who's in charge and who's doing what, but that everybody is like playing their part
mm,
in creating some beautiful nature connection time together.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Gorgeous. Thank you so much. Well, it's been really
Mm.
lovely to chat with you, Emma. Thank you for giving us your time and sharing your stories. And I'm
Thank
excited
you.
to see you at the camp again this year.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And yeah, so I think maybe we'll just wrap up with a little bit of gratitude. So
Mm.
yeah, I mean, I'm incredibly I love these Hearthside chats because everybody remembers something different about the camp, and it just brings it alive again for me. There's so much
Mm.
richness at the camp. It's almost impossible to say exactly what it is because there's so much to it and so many layers and so many different areas. And so yeah, thank you so much for sharing your stories of the camp, and it's really made me excited again about going back in
Mm.
August. Mm,
Thank you. Yeah, I'll just share gratitude for, yeah, taking the time to have this conversation, and for anybody who's taken the time to listen to this. And yeah, I guess it's hard to describe in words, but I'm grateful for this conversation because it's just brought up memories and experiences that, it's the retelling of these things that sort of deepen the experience as well. So
mm,
yeah, it's got me all excited, and yeah, really looking forward to gathering together again. So yeah, I'm really grateful for nature for holding the space, Clop Hill for holding us in
mm,
that village together.
mm,
Mm.
mm. Beautiful. Thank you, Emma. And yeah, we'll see everyone next week for another Hearthside chat. I can't remember who's going to appear. I'm sure we'll have something on the Facebook, but Peter will be hosting next time. I look forward to being a spectator next time, but it's been a delight to chat with you, Emma. Yeah, have a great rest of your evening.
Lovely, thank you.